2019 academic year along with their teachers.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may have a seat as we await the arrival of His Excellency the President. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand in silence for the arrival of His Excellency, the President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Mr. Charles A. Savre and Mrs. Savre.
Please stand at attention for the national anthem of the Commonwealth of Dominica.
Please remain standing as we call on His Lordship, Bishop of the Diocese of Roseau, Gabriel Mauser, to do the opening prayer.
Soaring despite the storms. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. I read to you from the second letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians, chapter 4, from verse 7 to 12. We are only the earthenware jars that holds this treasure. To make it clear that such an overwhelming power comes from God and not from us. We are in difficulties on all sides, but never cornered. We see no answer to our problems, but never despair. We have been persecuted, but never deserted. Knocked down, but never killed. Always, wherever we may be, we carry with us in our body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus too may always be seen in our body. Indeed, while we are still alive, we are consigned to death every day for the sake of Jesus, so that in our mortal flesh, the life of Jesus too may be openly shown. So death is at work in us, but life in you. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, all things are of your making. All times and seasons obey your law. We come before you as a school, St. Mary's Academy. We thank you for the blessings that you have showered upon us for the past year and beyond. We thank you for the staff, the principal and the staff, the parents and the guardians, and most especially the students who are to be graduating this year. We thank you for all their achievements. We thank you for even the struggles that they have gone through. And today they are gathered here to celebrate success, to celebrate this moment of grace, Lord, that you have called them to recognize how good you are. And so, Lord, we thank you for this great moment. We thank you for our president, our parents, our guardians, and all those who have helped us on the way. We thank you for the Ministry of Education, for the church, for all those who have contributed in one way or another to the education of our young ones. And so, Lord, as we proceed in today's ceremony, we put everything in your hands, and we ask you to take them and make it a source of praise to you. And we ask all this through Christ our Lord.
Mr. Fadul will now deliver the official welcome address.
Please be seated. Your Excellency, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, Mr. Charles A. Savre and Mrs. Savre, Your Lordship, Bishop of the Diocese of Rosero, Most Reverend Gabriel Mauser, Mrs. Chandler Hyacinth, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Human Resource, Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education and Human Resource, Mrs. Melina Fontaine, members of the clergy, Mr. Glenford Royer, our featured speaker, Mrs. Sylvia John Baptist, the principal and staff of the St. Mary's Academy, other principals present, members of the Catholic Schools Board and PTA Executive, representatives of donor firms, individuals and institutions, other invited guests, the media, parents, guardians, friends, well-wishers of St. Mary's Academy, and of course, our graduating class. Another year has come and gone, and despite the many challenges faced, we have overcome. Adversities have been faced, tests passed, assignments completed, long nights of studies have resulted in success, and the demand for the growth of young men in a world in which men are becoming a scarce commodity has been achieved. We are here to celebrate this achievement of the development of young men in our Dominican society today, and we welcome and thank you for celebrating the success of these men, not just as men, but as proud St. Mary's Academy men. We welcome you. My very first encounter with our first speaker was a rather shaking experience. I was a young teacher in my first year, and I was seriously cutting into her teaching time. The side effects of being carried away into a good lesson. I am sure you can imagine, for those who know her, the energy and the spice that was laid out to me in fine-tuning my ability of time management. Many times, even as a teacher several years later, I still remember what she told me back then. And sometimes, even though my time management has greatly improved, I sometimes have to catch myself in the excitement of teaching and check if she is just around the corner to hand down another portion of spice. After all, she is from the spice isle of Grenada. Elevated to the rank of principal, she brings a wave of energetic passion to the rank. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great honor to introduce to you the first female principal in the history of the St. Mary's Academy, Mrs. Sylvia John Baptist.
Your Excellency, Charles Savre, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Mrs. Savre, Your Lordship, Most Reverend Bishop Gabriel Malze, Bishop of Roseau, Mrs. Chandler Hyacinth, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Human Resource, Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education and Human Resource, Mrs. Melina Fontaine, Mrs. Nazarene Tit, Senior Education Officer for Secondary Schools, and other officials of the Ministry of Education and Human Resource, members of the clergy and religious, Mr. Glenford Royer, our featured speaker, members of the Catholic Schools Board of Management and the PTA Executive, representatives of donor firms, individuals and institutions, our invited guests, the media, parents, guardians, friends, well-wishers of St. Mary's Academy, graduating class of 2019. Good afternoon. Henry Ford wisely said, "Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. And working together is success." As we look back over the last few years, certainly there was a beginning, and thankfully there was also progress. And yes, undeniably, we have been successful. We are here to celebrate the St. Mary's Academy graduating class of 2019 as they soared despite the storms. Today, we are proud to present the 46 young men who have successfully met the criteria for graduation. The academic year of 2018-2019 at St. Mary's Academy began quite differently when compared to other years, as the management of the school was tasked to a leadership team of 7 teachers headed by a woman, yours truly. This year at SMA was an interesting one for me, since there was much to learn and execute. I certainly could not have done it without the help and guidance from God, my teammates, supportive staff, Superintendent Mrs. Dublin, parents, past and present students. The school year started with an enrollment of 386 students and 30 members of staff. During the last school year, we bid farewell to Mr. Wilshire and Mr. Terrell, and welcomed Ms. Hanicia Boland, Ms. Onicia Bruno, Mr. Richard Joseph, and Mr. Arundel Debon. The staff of SMA has remained dedicated in the formation and education of our young men, as we recognize how challenging it may be to raise young men who lead by example and work hard and play straight. At SMA, we have much to be thankful to God for during the 2018-2019 school year. Despite the challenges of the Hurricane Maria, we were able to secure an overall pass of 79.2% in the CSEC examinations. Subjects like music, information technology, and agricultural science maintained the 100% pass rate in the last year. All subject passes ranged from 67% to 100%. The subjects with improved pass rates were French from 68 to 71%, Geography from 90 to 100%, and Spanish from 83 to 100%. Our top performing students in the 2018 CSEC examinations were Brelon Joseph with 8 ones and 2 twos, Sean Moses with 8 ones and 1 2, Antonio Fontaine with 7 ones and 2 twos, Asha Roberts with 6 ones and 3 twos, and they did very well, we must say, considering. Apart from our CSEC successes during the 2018-2019 school year, SMA proved its prowess by securing the top place in the Kiwanis Club public speaking competition. Our valedictorian, Kahil Akil Richards, was our representative and was responsible for our victory. Sky Casimir and Adio Savre represented the school in the Rotary Literacy Quiz and placed first in their zone and second in the finals. Hananel Valerie and Hilary Lawrence, 2 fourth formers, secured first places in the Dowasco Essay and Art competition during World Water Week. Apart from academics, SMA has also dominated in sports. In athletics, Bri Evans obtained gold medals in both 100 and 200 meters in the under-17 boys. Good performances came from Jonelle Laville in the long jump and Giovanni Bergens in the 100-meter sprint. SMA is also proud to be the reigning champions in the under-15 and under-17 school football competitions and the Zone B overall winners. In cricket, SMA went on to secure the championship in the sports division under-15 cricket competition. Special mention must be made of Stefan Pascal, who was the captain, and he led by example with both bat and ball. Other members of the team were Shaquem Thomas, Kobe Morrow, Kishon Anselm, and Clevon John Lewis. SMA did not stop there, but continued its winning streak in securing the championship in the under-15 basketball competition with great performances from Kyron Phillip, Rivaldo Panthier, and McNeil Moses. Although we did not capture the under-20 basketball championship, we were most impressed with the great performances from some members of the graduating class, including individuals like Koath Barron, Jonathan Henderson, and Trey Sweeney. Another aspect of SMA school life is our 4-H Club. The 4-H Club has brought much fame to SMA under the able leadership of the coordinator, Mr. Bert Paul. This year, the club won the 4-H Award for the top secondary school 4-H club. They also won the public speaking competition. They also won the Market Day with a Difference with the most creative booth. They also won the Culinary Arts Regional Award, also the Caribbean Local Food Festival Award, and the Dominica Canoe and Kayaking Top Award in the under-18 category. SMA went on to exhibit its cultural side in various ways this year. SMA hosted a fundraising Christmas concert in Term 1, which showcased the talent of our young men. During the carnival season, we brought back the Calypso competition, which was keenly contested by several students, and we had Mr. Adrian Piper, the magician, emerging as the SMA Calypso King. We have royalty among us. The SMA went on to win the coveted Junior Monarch title with Mr. Malik Daru. Like everything else, surely there were challenges which could only provide opportunities for strengthening. We are still being faced with matters of school discipline, especially in our lower form levels, and also the effects of Hurricane Maria. Although the repairs to the old wing are complete, much thanks to the Diocese of Roseau, we are still battling with the cost of repairs to the Egbert Germain wing and the building technology workshop at the back of the school, which we would like to have completed before the beginning of the new school year. Please permit me to express my profound gratitude to the members of the Catholic School Board of Management, Mrs. Dublin, our Superintendent of Catholic Schools, members of the administrative team, teachers, the Christian brothers, and other members of staff like the secretary, the librarian, and the cleaners. Special thanks to Mr. Severin Mackenzie, the PTA president, and members of the PTA, benefactors, parents, and all those who have contributed to the development of SMA, especially looking at the Sons of SMA, who have been very supportive of our students and education at SMA, especially the latest donation of a new computer through Mr. Lindsay George. I would now like to address the graduates. My dear graduates, I stand here today as a parent getting ready to see her son leaving home, going out into the world of uncertainty, knowing that you have been given the preparation needed. As any good parent would recognize, you are all different, like the fingers on one hand. You are the sons some of us teachers wish we had, not only at school, but in our homes. We looked at you grow at SMA as a parent anxiously watches a toddler making his first steps. We looked at you, and when you fell, we were right behind you to encourage you to get up, dust yourself off, and start again. Sometimes, during your stay with us, after much advice, we had to look at you with pain in our eyes, make the mistakes which we would have preferred you did not make, but knowing that from these mistakes you will learn. You have made us very proud during your stay with us. You showed us love and care by the simple things that you did, like a pleasant greeting in the schoolyard or in the street, an inquiry about our health and well-being, offering to carry supplies from one part of the school to the other, being a good example to the younger students by your diligence, honesty, service to God and country. We will not forget how you triumphed in the various literary, sports, and art competitions. I am almost certain Jared Jajak was born with a musical instrument in his hand and started playing within minutes of his birth. No wonder he obtained a distinction in music at the CXC level while in Form 2. There are many others like Jarrett in the persons of Cahill Richards, Che Corbett, Kemuel Valerie, Jaden Harrigan, who have demonstrated their keen musical ability. SMA was able to win 3 football championships in 5 years with the talents of Turam Toussaint, Odell Laville, Quinton Moise, Shamar Phillip, Bry Evans, and Lijuan Leslie, all members of this graduating class. Now, how can we forget Koath Barron, our national cyclist, champion in races too numerous to count? Or Ethan Yankee, award-winning cadet corps leader, or the artistic skills of Manuel Olmos. If you look at your program, you'd see that he is responsible for designing the cover page of this booklet. My dear graduates, what strikes us greatly in all of your achievements is your ability to show gratitude, both privately and publicly. This, my dear sons, will open doors, earthly and heavenly doors for you. My advice to you is to keep striving. Turn your obstacles into stepping stones and soar despite the storms of life. Walk with God always as you ora et labora. St. Mary's men, go forth. May God bless you. I thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. John Baptist, for an excellent report. At this time, we call on Mr. Ethan Charles, a third former, who will do a musical presentation for us. Okay, while we await Mr. Ethan Charles, we'll take the opportunity to thank many of our benefactors and those who have contributed towards this ceremony.
We thank the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit,
Dominica Broadcasting Station,
the Central Cooperative Credit Union,
Dr. and Mrs. Richard Green,
L.A. Dupini and Company Limited,
Fast Cash Dominica Limited,
Campbell's Business Systems and Services,
Scotiabank,
Domlec,
Friends of Kerwin in Miami, Florida,
the National Cooperative Credit Union,
Hosford and Williams Chambers,
and P.H. Williams and Company Limited.
All right. So thank you to these benefactors and many more who have contributed towards this graduation ceremony. So we now have Mr. Ethan Charles.
Thank you very much, Ethan Charles. And of course, as you can see, St. Mary's Academy is a school filled with great talent. We'd like to now call on the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Mrs. Chandler Hyacinth, who will deliver an address on behalf of the Honorable Education Minister. Please welcome Mrs. Hyacinth.
His Excellency Charles A. Savre, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Mrs. Savre, Your Lordship, Most Reverend Bishop Gabriel Malzer, Bishop of Roseau, Chief Education Officer, the Ministry of Education and Human Resource Development, Ms. Melina Fountain, Mrs. Steet, Senior Education Officer for Secondary Schools, and other officials from the Ministry of Education, members of the clergy and religious, Mr. Glenford Royer, featured speaker, Mrs. Sylvia John Baptiste, Principal, St. Mary's Academy, and staff of St. Mary's Academy, other principals here present, members of the Catholic Schools Board, and Superintendent of Catholic Schools, Mrs. Dublin, PTA President and PTA Executive, representatives of donor firms, individuals, and institutions, other invited guests, the media, parents, guardians, friends, well-wishers of St. Mary's Academy, graduating class of 2019. Good afternoon, all. It is indeed a pleasure this afternoon to share with St. Mary's Academy in this historic moment. It's a pleasure to share with the class of 2019. First, we want to say congratulations to class of 2019. Graduation from secondary school is one of the moments in your life that you will never forget. This occasion will be permanently etched in your minds for decades to come. Today is your day for making history, class of 2019. For many of you, the St. Mary's Academy was not just a secondary school, but it represented a place where men are made. Men are shaped and sent out to make a profound difference across the globe. As graduates of this institution, you must therefore feel fortunate to have been a student at the St. Mary's Academy. The time has come for you to make a difference. Make that difference, and I challenge you to do it with all your heart. The St. Mary's Academy has made a significant contribution to the development of our country, not only in the field of education, but also in instilling in students essential qualities which they are able to demonstrate throughout their lives. Therefore, as a graduate of this institution, you are expected to be well-rounded and well-respected. Class of 2019, soon you will join the ranks of St. Mary's Academy's alumni. We hope that this doesn't make you feel too old. Remember, whatever you do after leaving this institution, you will be expected to practice and promote positive values within society in which you live. You are expected, as you would say, to represent SMA. Your theme is most fitting, soaring despite the storm. Indeed, you have soared. And you know, soar is defined as to fly or to rise high in the air. So we challenge you as you exit from SMA to soar. This is the beginning of the opportunity that you will have to soar in many different ways. And for a moment, I want to look at the word soar. First, you are expected to sow, the S. Plant seeds in and around you for your future growth. Be mindful of the seeds that you grow today, and we want to encourage you to sow good seeds so that you can reap the benefits tomorrow. Seeds of gratitude, positive attitudes, integrity, love, and others. We want to encourage you to set high goals and reachable goals for yourself. Therefore, you must continue flying high. Your presence at this ceremony is a testament to the fact that you have excelled. You have come this far, so don't leave your future to chance. Remember that success should not be an incident. It should be a habit. While you continue to soar as SMA graduates, be grounded in the knowledge that education and skills in themselves do not make individuals succeed. Individuals are only successful when they are committed to transforming education and skills into productivity and respect. We want to encourage you to be optimistic. The O. Be optimistic about the future. Even in the midst of the storms of life, we have to be optimistic. We all face many challenges. However they come, you have to work hard to overcome these challenges. You are resilient, and we expect you to move forward and rise above obstacles. Thirdly, we want to encourage you to aspire. Aspire to achieve. Let's say you aspire to become an architect, or an engineer, or a lawyer, or even a chef. You have to have a plan in order to achieve. And you have to aim high. If you aim at nothing, you will hit it every time. So never stop believing that you can. And in sewing, we want you to have rectitude. Be a model of rectitude. Be honest in everything you do. Have integrity, and that will help you to reach far. Have courage to pursue your dreams. You can become whatever you believe, whatever you are. So I want to urge you to soar. Work hard. Have a passion for your work and soar. As graduates, as graduates, class of 2019, you have all been privileged to receive the opportunity to access secondary education. This we have observed that you will be able to make the best use of it. As a ministry, our goal is to ensure that students receive adequate preparation and training through high-quality education in order to ensure that they are functional, you are functional individuals within society. Above all, remember, in all you do, have respect for self. And this is the most noble of attributes which a young person can exhibit. If you respect yourself, then you may very well be on your way to success in life. Self-respect means knowing that you are special and treating yourself in that way. You can only learn to respect others if you first respect yourself. Most importantly, ground yourselves in faith. Trust in the Lord. Pray without ceasing. And whatever you do, allow God to take control. So go out there, be the best that you can be, and soar. Congratulations, class of 2019. You have done well, so soar.
Thank you, Mrs. Chandler Hyacinth, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education. At this time, we will have another musical interlude, this time from a few of our graduates. This ensemble is comprised of Kahil Akil Richards, Jaden Harrigan, Joshua Fadel, Jarrett Jajak, Kemuel Valerie, Jamari John Rose, and Che Cobbett. Indeed, this graduating class is filled with talents.
And as the ensemble prepares themselves, we would like to acknowledge a few more individuals, companies, and organizations who have contributed to the graduation ceremony for today. We'd like to say a special thanks to Whitco Development Institute,
The National Bank of Dominica,
AC Shillingford and Company Limited,
Pan American Life Insurance,
Big Edge Financial Express,
Mr. Rupert Sorrendo and family,
Mr. Bert Paul,
Mr. Kareem Bertrand,
Mr. Marvin Peltier,
the SMA's 4-H Club,
Mr. Gerald Burton,
Mr. Kondwani Williams,
Mrs. Evans,
Mr. Anthony Parlow,
Arturo's Sports,
and of course the Christian Brothers.
So once again, we say special thanks to these other individuals, organizations, and companies who have and continue to contribute to the development of St. Mary's Academy. And once again, the ensemble will have their presentation right now. Please give them a round of applause.
and a marvelous performance indeed by the graduating class, students of the graduating class. Well done, gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker. Our featured speaker for this evening's proceedings, Mr. Glenford Roye. Mr. Glenford Roye is a man of his people and a shining example for the youth to follow. He graduated from the St. Mary's Academy in 1994, where he subsequently returned to become a mathematics and business teacher for 9 years. He was instrumental in the setting up of a retirement fund for teachers. When we needed an urgent solution to a major reconstruction project, Mr. Roye was always willing to assist. He holds a master's degree in finance from Leicester University and holds various qualifications in business administration, accounting, and management. Mr. Roye is a registered securities representative in the state of New York. He is employed with TradeWeb Markets, LLC, a globally recognized firm which offers financial services. He serves the US clientele as Vice President of Customer Relations Securities Master. Although he resides with his wife and son in New Jersey, Mr. Roye contributes meaningfully to life at SMA and will always be remembered for his famous quote, "Squander your present and your future will be futile." It gives me great pleasure to welcome Mr. Glenford Roye, our featured speaker.
Thank you for these warm words of introduction. Your Excellency Charles A. Savre, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Mrs. Savre, Your Lordship, Most Reverend Bishop Gabriel Malzer, Bishop of Roseau, Mrs. Chandler Hyacinth, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Human Resource, Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education and Human Resource, Mrs. Melina Fontaine, Mrs. Nazarene Titt, Senior Education Officer Senior Education Officer for Secondary Schools, and other officials from the Ministry of Education and Human Resource, Mrs. Sylvia John Baptist, the Principal and staff of the St. Mary's Academy, other principals, members of the Catholic Schools Board and PTA Executive, Mrs. Josephine Dublin, Superintendent of Catholic Schools, representative of donor firms, individuals and institutions, other invited guests, the media, parents, guardians, friends, well-wishers of St. Mary's Academy, and to you, the graduates of 2019. Congratulations. Thank you for inviting me to address you on this occasion. I can't believe it's already 25 years since I graduated from the St. Mary's Academy. Back then, I was about 20 pounds thinner, and I had a lot of pimples on my face. But when I look at all of you, class of 2019, I get choked up, not with any kind of sadness, but with a deep sense of gratitude. I don't believe I would be in my current position without the influence of former Principal Mr. Cuthbert Elwin and this fine institution, the St. Mary's Academy. Today is a special moment for you, and no matter how the celebration goes tonight, I'm hoping that you will remember some of my remarks. But if you forget, don't worry, I won't hold any grudges. I will deal with the disappointment somehow. But in all seriousness, I want to talk to you about the rest of your lives. Today, I see before me a hall filled with brilliant minds. I see a hall filled with dreamers, eyes that are full of promise, and parents beaming with pride. Today, I am not here to sugarcoat the possibilities of your future, but rather to talk about reality. As you know, this beautiful island was battered by Hurricane Maria, regarded as the worst natural disaster on record. Many lives were significantly affected on that day, and many of our families and friends have still not recovered from its aftermath. Like this natural disaster, life is not to be taken lightly. As we have learned the hard way, the end of the storm isn't the end of its aftermath. So whether we are careful or not, whether we are prepared or not, disappointments will come. In life, you will face many challenges, but the beauty is that it is usually through challenges that we can grow in your faith, and with faith comes clarity and hope, even if we feel despair tugging at us from behind. As you look towards the future with cautious optimism, I want you to remember the people who helped you get here. Thank and appreciate them. There's an old saying, unity is strength. Where there is teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can be achieved. I think of your graduation in the same way. Many people have sacrificed so you could be here today. Your parents and family members have brought you through your childhood and adolescent years. Your teachers and other education officials have watched over your progress and have supported your efforts. You have been guided and protected, and now you are considered ready to tackle the real world. That being said, you will face significant storms in your life. There's the loss of opportunity. There's a job that doesn't work out. The illness or accident that destroys everything in an instant. There's the loss of love. And there's the sting of death. The sticking point is not if some of these things will happen to you. They will. But the important question is, how do you overcome? During these difficult moments, it will be important for you to remember that God is in control of the storm. Most of the times we believe God is in control when we are successful. But having faith doesn't shield us from difficulties. When the chips are down, it is easy to begin to doubt God. God, why are you allowing this situation to happen to me? But the same God that's available to us in good times is available to us in bad times. I believe God will not allow a storm unless he has a greater purpose. He never said he would prevent every difficulty. God will direct the winds of the storm to blow you where he wants you to go. Looking back at my life, I remember my first taste of adversity came as a child when my father left. So much of the crucial development times of my youth, I had no father. and that hurts tremendously. The studies about young boys growing up without a male figure usually signifies that these boys will either end up on drugs, unsuccessful, or in prison. But that's simply not accurate. Growing up without a father should not be your end. Envision the life that you want and look around for positive role models who can be great motivators. For me, that inspiration came from my late aunt Ethelfrida, who instilled in me the foundations and skills to persevere today. Because of that experience, I strive daily to be a better father and a better family man to my son, my 4-year-old son, Nathaniel. Graduates, if I appear from my last comment to be talking about a scene from the movie Pursuit of Happiness, I apologize. But like Will Smith, who refused to give in to despair as he worked to create a better life for himself and his family, you too can do the same. But the question is, how do you further overcome? In response to this question, allow me to share my own free-part script, which I hope would serve as helpful references as you deal with the storms in life. The first, and I think the most important, put your trust in God always. Put your trust in God first, and above all things, let Him direct your path. Everything that I have achieved is by the grace of God. Understand that it is life-changing once you begin to trust and pray to Him. Prayer has helped me to rise above my storms where hate seemed easy, giving up seemed easy, failure seemed certain. I did not lose faith in God, and I hope you will do the same. Second, form strong alliances. Align yourself with positive people. Find good mentors or coaches to help you grow. Find people that have excelled in the area that you are interested in pursuing. Let them advise you. Listen to their ideas. You could even learn from their failures. Well, you might be saying quietly, but what is this guy talking about? I don't need a mentor. I don't need a coach. I'm good. I'm excelling. But think about this. Usain Bolt, the famous sprinter, and some people may say the greatest sprinter of all times, he had a coach. He had a mentor, people to help him with his management time, people to help him with his exercise routine, people to help him with his mental concentration. If Usain Bolt needed people to develop him, being as great as he was in his field, surely we need people to do so. We need positive people to inspire us to be the best person we can be. I have a suggestion. Look around you today or this weekend and see who's available to you that you could learn from. Look for people in your community, your church, maybe your next door neighbor, your teacher, sons of SMA. People that can help you to be the best version of yourself. And I say this without any apology. Listen to me. Don't squander your precious time with so-called friends that are not willing to help you develop. Let me just repeat that again. Maybe you didn't hear. Don't squander your precious time with friends or so-called friends that are not willing to develop you. Now, if your friends are comedians, Abbott and Costello, surely you'll have lots of fun. But really, are they adding anything to your growth? Life is too short to be associating with individuals who are not prepared to do anything worthwhile with their talents. It was Warren Buffett, the third richest man in the world, that said, and I quote, "It's better to hang out with people better than you. Pick out associates whose behavior is better than yours, and you'll drift in that direction." Graduates, Buffett is correct. You need to associate with people that challenge you to produce more, not people that are willing to drag you down to the gutters. And let me say something here. You will encounter these individuals in your life. Individuals that are willing to drag you down to the gutters. Your destiny is too important for that. Take advantage of opportunities you have today to align yourself with positive individuals and pursue your dreams. The earlier you do that, the better. Pursue higher education. Learn a skill and get good at it. Make sure you get certified in your chosen field. And lastly, don't be afraid to fail. A lot of people will say to you that failure is not a bad thing because you can learn from it. Now, here is a great piece of advice that I would say you need to internalize. Never be afraid to take risk. If it's one thing that I've learned throughout my life at TradeWeb and dealing with clients continuously, is that taking risk is the surest way to progress. Let me tell you this. Risk can quickly turn to failure, but that's okay too. It's okay to fail. Sometimes we learn more from failure than we do from success. Use failure as a powerful tool towards personal advancement, a way to improve on mistakes made to become a more resilient person. Albert Einstein once said, and I quote, "Anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new." You will be surprised how many people, or very successful people, had to overcome their failures in life to accomplish their goal. For example, Michael Jordan is widely considered to be one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And yet, he was dropped from his high school basketball team because his coach didn't think he had enough skills. Now, Michael Jordan could have listened to that coach and decided he had no talent. He could have given up. But he didn't do that. He had courage and confidence. So he kept on. And boy, did he succeed. The moral here is, don't ever give up. Persevere. Don't ever take no for an answer. Push yourself to the limit and do what needs to be done morally for you to succeed. As you begin the next chapter of your lives, as you say goodbye to this institution, remember the biggest test of all is the test of life. This school has given you the tools to make your mark and make a lasting contribution to the world. Now it's up to you, my friends, graduates, to make the most of that opportunity. Let optimism and perseverance be your motto as you wither through the storms of life. Be positive in your outlook on things. Despite all adversity, persevere. Don't lose sight of your goal. Distractions will come, but never quit. Never lose faith, and never let a ray of doubt slip in. Turning these words into action, graduates, should be enough to help you to deal with the storms of life. May Almighty God bless you always. Congratulations again, good luck, and I wish you all the success now and for your future.
As you can see, we chose a very fitting individual to address our graduating class. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Roy. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue with our celebrations this evening, we would like to call on Vice Principal, Brother James DePiro of the St. Mary's Academy, to join us on stage to present the graduating class. And we would also like to call on His Lordship, Bishop of the Diocese of Roseau, Gabriel Malzea, to present the graduates with their diplomas.
Your Lordship, I present to you the candidates for graduation. Koath Baron. Nashon Prince Bellat. Niall M.I. Benjamin. Kimroy Olufemi Cook. Che Khalil Lincoln Corbett. Soyanka O. Corriette. Kalacharan Duran. Darren Roger Edwards. Bry Dante Evans. Joshua Fitzgerald Fadell. Ira Nathan Fisher. Neil Geist. Jaden Brian Urban Harrigan. Jonathan D. Henderson. Jarrett Jean-Jacques. Derwin Jean-Baptiste. Leon Elton John Lewis. Jamari John Rose. Lee Joseph. Alton George Peter Laville. Ordell Josiah O'Neill Laville. Lijuan Leo L. Leslie. Keenan Loki. Quentin Tyler Moise. Jaheem Giovanni Joshua Nelson. Manuel Olmos. Ajani Ethan Paquette. Jairus D. Peter. Ajani Gerard Michael Peters. Shamar Philip. Taj G. Polak. Khalil Akil Anthony Ty Richards. Tyler Richards. Sean Samuel. Bernie Serville. Green Shillingford. Diego St. Rose. Yale Stevenson. Trey Sweeney. Devon D. Thomas. Turam Brian D. Toussaint. Rashad Jaden Valentine. Kemuel Canmichael Valerie. Ash B. L. Winston. Ethan T. Yankee. Clint Quayne Eunice. Ladies and gentlemen, I proudly present to you the 2019 graduating class of the St. Mary's Academy.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. You may sit down. Your Lordship, before you leave, we would like to say thank you very much for presenting the diplomas to our graduating class. And on behalf of the principal, vice principal, and administration, we would like to offer you this token of our appreciation. Thank you very much, Your Lordship. We would like to give special mention to a few students of the graduating class graduating with distinction above 85% average. The students are as follows:
Kahil Akil Richards
Joshua Fadel,
and Jarrett Jajak, graduating with distinctions.
graduating with honors with an average of 75 to 84% are as follows:
Che Cobbett,
Bry Evans,
Jaden Harrigan,
Derwin John Baptist,
Jamari John Rose,
Alton Laville,
Jairus Peter,
Shama Philip,
Bernice Seville,
Rashad Valentine.
and Ethan Yankee.
The students are graduating with honors with an average between 75 and 84%. We would like to now call on the subject teachers as we continue with our ceremony here this evening. So we kindly ask the various subject teachers in the various disciplines to please find your way to the side, as we will be rewarding some students of the graduating class in the various subject disciplines. And while the teachers are coming up, we would like to recognize a few more individuals, institutions, and organizations who continue to support the growth and development of St. Mary's Academy. We say a special thanks to Dr. Julian,
J. Astefan and Company Limited,
Cheryl and Liam Roll,
S. Engineering Limited,
Harris Pins,
Mr. Billy Doctrove,
Mrs. Myrtle McIntyre,
and Jay's Bookstore.
We thank you very much for your continued contribution to St. Mary's Academy.
And now for the subject awards. For agricultural science, presenting that award is Miss Bernicia Boland. In first place, Mr. Shamar Philip.
And second place, Jared Peters. Biology, first place, Joshua Fadel. The award will be presented by Miss Alicia Bruno. And second place, Khalil Akil Richards.
Building Technology, which will be presented by Mr. Stephen Daly. In first place, Mr. Jaim Nelson.
And second place, Soyinka Corriet. The award for chemistry, in first place, Khalil Akil Richards.
And in second place, Mr. Jamari John Rose. The award will be presented by Mr. Richard Joseph. We move on to English A. And the award goes to Mr. Kahil Akil Richards in first place and Jarrett Jaja.
The award will be presented by Mrs. Rabex. The French award, in first place, Khalil Akil Richards.
And in second place, Kemuel Valerie. And Marcel Paul will present his awards.
The French for Life award, presented by Miss Saint-Hilaire, goes to Neil Geist.
And for history, first place, Kahil Akil Richards. Second place, Jarrett Jaja. This will be presented by Miss Kathleen Telemack.
The award for Information Technology, first place, Alton Laville. And second place, Rashad Valentine. The award will be presented by Mrs. Elwin.
The next award for integrated science, in first place, Shamar Philip. And second place, Mr. Ajani Packet. This will be presented by Mr. Shane Gibbons.
The award for mathematics. In first place, Joshua Fidel. In second place, Khalil Akil Richards. The award will be presented by Mrs. Bergins.
For music, this award goes to Che Cobbetts and will be presented by Mr. Marie.
The award for physics. First place, Joshua Fidel. Second, Khalil Akil Richards. The award will be presented by Mr. Roberts.
For principals of accounts, first place, Shamar Philip. In second place, Jonathan Henderson. These awards will be presented by Mrs. Caesar.
The Principles of Business Award. First place, Shamar Philip. Second, Ajani Packets.
And now for religious studies, first place, Kahil Akil Richards. Second place, Alton Laville. To present these awards, Deacon Paul.
The award for Spanish. First place, Khalil Akil Richards. Second, Jamari John Rose. The award will be presented by Mr. Neville Christian.
Mr. Christian will also present the Spanish for Life Award, which goes to Kalisharan Durand.
The award for technical drawing. First place, Joshua Fidel. Second, Jared Jean-Jacques. The award will be presented by Mr. Debon.
And for geography, first place, Bri Evans. Second place, Taram Tousse. These will be presented by Mrs. Toulon. we move right along to special awards from our benefactors. We would like to call on the representatives of the following firms and individuals for these awards: Domlec, AC Shillingford and Company Limited, Harry Spence, DBS, Liam Roll, Signal Band, Maxroy Roy,
Kwantwani Williams, Corey Sav Inc., the Central Cooperative Credit Union, Akim Ishmael, Kareem Bertrand, Jays Limited, and Mr. Bert Paul.
and the Domlex Award for Top in Physics goes to Mr. Joshua Fadell. ACS Promex Milk Awards for the most outstanding French student, Kahil Akil Richards. Mrs. Jean Baptiste, we're calling on you, please. So that's for the most outstanding French student, sponsored by ACS Promex Milk. Most outstanding Spanish student by the same benefactor, and that goes to Kahil Akil Richards. And the award for Top in Business by ACS is awarded to Trey Sweeney.
The Harry Spence Ninian Marie Excellence in Business Awards goes to Shama Philip.
The DBS Award for Public Speaking goes to Jarrett Jajak. Jared Jashak, DBS Award for Public Speaking. The Wadi Astafan Award for Top in Business, Lee Joseph. Top in business, Lee Joseph.
The Signal Band Award for Excellence in Music goes to Jared Jean-Jacques.
And the Liam Roll Awards for Excellence in Mathematics, Kahil Akil Richards. For Physics and Arts, Jarrett Jajak. For Business, Shamar Philip. Information Technology, Alton Laville. Literature, Bry Evans. And for Sports and Academics, Taram Tuse.
The Max Roy Royer Award for Top in Building Technology goes to Jaim Nelson.
Kondwani Williams Award for Excellence in Agriculture, Shamar Philip.
The Brighter Days Awards for Top in Liberal Arts, Bry Evans.
Williams and Horsford Chambers Award for English and Public Speaking, Kahil Akil Richards.
The Whitco Award for Excellence in Business, Jonathan Henderson.
The Corisav Inc. Award for Excellence in Building Technology, Soyinka Coriets.
the Central Cooperative Credit Union Award for Excellence in Accounts, Shama Philip.
The Big Edge Financial Express Award for Top in Information Technology, Derwin John Baptist. And now for the Billy Doctrove Awards for Excellence in Sports. For Athletics, Bry Evans. Basketball, Jonathan Henderson. For cricket, Nashon Bellot. Football, Odell Laville. And for volleyball, Kohaf Baron.
We now have the 4-H Club Awards. The Leadership Awards sponsored by Mr. Kareem Bertrand. The first one goes to Neil Benjamin, and second, Ethan Yankee.
For the 4-H Club Culinary Arts Award, sponsored by Akeem Ishmael, goes to Kemuel Valerie.
The Club Spirit Award, sponsored by Jays, goes to the following students: Neil Benjamin, Ajani Peters, and Kemuel Valerie. The award is represented by Mr. Bud Poor.
Academic Excellence 4-H Award, sponsored by the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit. It will be presented by Senator Robert Tong, Bry Evans, and Alton Laville. The second award for academic excellence, sponsored by the Honorable Prime Minister, goes to Alton Laville. Senator Tom, you're requested.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the first part of our prize giving presentations. Right now, we are going to take a small break and invite a young man, a graduate, who has proven since his entry into the school that he's a very versatile student, a talented young man who has succeeded both academically and also as a very talented musician. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great honor to welcome Mr. Jarrett Jean-Jacques to give us a musical interlude.
That was Jarrett Jajak, a musical prodigy indeed. We continue now with our special awards. We would like to call on Mrs. Savre to join us on stage for the next part of this ceremony.
We begin with the Rupert Sorrento Award for Excellence in Agriculture. The award goes to Jairus Peters. Jairus Peters.
Campbell Systems and Service Award for Top in Information Technology, Jamari John Rose.
The Anthony Parilo Award for Excellence in Technical Drawing, Joshua Fidel.
Dr. Julian's Award for Top in Science, Jarrett Jajak.
Special Award for Outstanding Agricultural Practicals, Nashon Bellot.
Premier Computing Award for Information Technology, Che Corbett.
The Arturo's Award for Excellence in Information Technology, Alton Laville and Rashad Valentine.
Mr. Marvin Peltier Awards for Top in Integrated Science, Shamar Phillip. And for Top in Accounts, Jonathan Henderson.
Award for Top in Geography, Bry Evans.
The National Cooperative Credit Union Award for Excellence in Accounts, Ajani Paquette.
Special Award for Excellence in Both Foreign Languages, Khalil Akil Richards.
The Pan American Mr. Cuthbert Elwin Award for School Spirit, Ethan Yankee.
Dr. D.O.N. McIntyre Award for Excellence in Science, Khalil Akil Richards.
The S.J. Lewis Award for Excellence in Liberal Arts, Khalil Akil Richards.
Steinman Award for Perseverance and Dedication to Work, Taram Toussaint.
The Christian Brother Award for Service to Community, Church, and School, Khalil Akil Richards.
The Kerwin Cledenor Award for Steady Application goes to the following students: Lee Joseph, Manuel Olmos, and Lejuan Leslie.
The Benefactor Interest in the Development of Careers in Science for the highest in science, Joshua Fadel, and the highest in mathematics, Joshua Fadel.
Jay's Award for Best in Conduct, Jares Peters and Tyler Richards.
The PTA Award for Dependability goes to Ash Winston.
The Blessed Edmund Rice Award for Religion and Good Example, Jaden Harrigan.
The Principal's Award for Courage, Perseverance, and Dedication goes to Kemuel Valerie.
The Gerald Burton Award for the valedictorian, Khalil Akil Richards.
The Gerald Burton Award for the salutatorian, Joshua Fadell.
Bishop Morris Student of the Year Award, Jarrett Jean-Jacques.
At this time, we would like to award the students who topped the CSEC exams of 2018. Brillon Joseph for 8 1s and 2 2s. Sean Moses, 8 1s and 1 2. Antonio Fountain, 7 1s and 2 2s. And Asha Roberts, 6 1s and 3 2s.
This concludes this part of our presentations this evening. Your Excellency, we would like to thank you very much, and we kindly ask you to accept this token of our appreciation. Thank you very much, Mrs. Sovereign.
Our next speaker comes from the graduating class. He has performed exceptionally well over the years, and as a result has been awarded the valedictorian of the St. Mary's Academy for this year. Please welcome our valedictorian, Mr. Khalil Akil Richards.
A pleasant good evening to the Excellency Charles Savre, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Mrs. Savre, your Lord Bishop, Most Reverend Your Lordship, Most Reverend Bishop Gabriel Malzer, Bishop of Roseau, Senator Robert Tong, Minister of Tourism and Urban Renewal, representing the Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Parliamentary Representative for Roseau Central, Mr. Joseph Isaac, Mrs. Chandler, Mrs. Hyacinth, thank you. Hyacinth, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Human Resource. Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education and Human Resource, Mrs. Melina Fontaine. Members of the clergy and religious, Mr. Glenn Fonroy, featured speaker, Mrs. Sylvia John Baptist, the principal and staff of the St. Mary's Academy, members of the Catholic School Board and the PTA Executive, representatives of donor firms, individuals and institutions, and other invited guests, the media, parents, guardians, friends, well-wishers of St. Mary's Academy, and you, the graduating class of 2019. Today, I stand before you humbled to be the valedictorian of the 2019 St. Mary's Academy graduating class. Humbled as I recognize several very intelligent students just like me in this graduating class, young men who have worked tirelessly. Humbled, knowing undoubtedly that without God and the many persons who sacrificed so much, that this could have easily been a dream never realized. Albert Einstein says it well. It's not that I'm so smart. It's just that I stay with problems longer. Sayings like that keep me recognizing the need to be humble and that consistent hard work is necessary for the attainment of excellence. In September 2014, I entered the gates of the St. Mary's Academy, filled with trepidation and anxiety. My palms were sweating more than usual. I was a little scared and unsure, maybe not about my academics, as much as being accepted by my peers, finding friends who I would have similar interests with, and teachers dedicated to their students, their profession or vocation, and not just a job. Now, as I look back, my fears were thankfully unfounded. Throughout my 5 years, this prestigious institution, the St. Mary's Academy, has blessed me with principals, teachers, staff, and classmates who have helped with my formation and molding me into the young man that I am today. Only the SMA graduating class of 2019 can attest to having not one, not two, but 4 principals in their high school journey. Yes, 4 of them. At this time, I would like to thank all 4 of our principals who were instrumental in our journey. Mr. Elwin, may your soul rest in eternal peace. Personally, I miss Mr. Elwin, who kept encouraging me as a first former as I prepared for my first competition for SMA. I doubt that I would have been as confident without his belief in my abilities and constant encouragement. Brother James, who selflessly stepped in and took over as principal in the interim as a principal was sought. None of us will forget your jokes as you spent time occupying us in the absence of a teacher or during our maths and religion classes. We also cannot forget Brother James, who with the aid of Mr. Lewis was also instrumental in the SMA football team's many victories. Mr. Holmes, who though he suffered great losses, like the staff and us students post-Maria, was able to help us to overcome challenges the best he could. And in our final year, we were present for a history-making moment in our school's existence, the hiring of the first female principal, Mrs. John Baptist. We are proud to have been witnesses to this, and are even prouder still to be the first graduates under her leadership. Mrs. John Baptist was very instrumental in helping us overcome many of the challenges the school and we the students were facing. Today, we say thank you to all of our principals. We cannot forget the many teachers who have made a meaningful contribution to our lives. I will always feel blessed when I remember Miss Paul accepting to teach Jaden and me in the afternoons at an alternative time to allow us to add French to our already hectic schedules. Every day, she traveled back to the countryside, and though she became very busy with her mom's illness, she never gave up on her commitment to us, doing makeup classes at absolutely no cost. Mademoiselle, merci beaucoup. Je ne vous oublierai jamais. Au revoir, mademoiselle. À la prochaine fois. I will never forget the lunches distributed to students in need by Miss Paul and Miss Philogen post-Maria. Nor will I forget Mr. Murray, who made the band house available as a place of solace for many of the band members, myself included. How could we forget Mrs. Rabes and Mrs. Bergens, who constantly encouraged us to stay focused? Or Deacon Paul and Brother James, who kept us spiritually fed? Or Mr. Gibbons, who was always ready and willing to help us in any way he could. Many of our teachers not only prepared us for CSEC, but prepared us for life. They were also there to support us and sacrifice for us, though they were sometimes suffering themselves. To be honest, our teachers worked us so hard that we had no time to feel sorry for ourselves. Teachers, on behalf of the graduating class, I say thank you. Our graduation theme, Soaring Despite the Storms, presents a bittersweet feeling as we reflect on our storms and our victories. I will have to admit that none of our stories are identical, but I'm sure that all the students of this graduating class would admit that our years were certainly not without its storms. In our second year of SMA, we literally experienced Tropical Storm Erica. It was really difficult to see the pain of classmates who had lost everything in a few hours. And even more difficult, we had lost our beloved principal, Mr. Elwin, who was snatched away on the heels of Tropical Storm Erica. It was a sad time for all of us, but I know Mr. Elwin is looking down with pride on all of us today, us, the class that was his last first form. Indeed, we have made him proud. 2 years later, Hurricane Maria came along. To say this was a challenging period would be the greatest understatement of my life. Like many other students, I was displaced, separated from my parents and sister for the first time in my life. It was a lonely time when I realized how paramount my family is to my success and happiness. I was so happy to return after term 1. I know Soyinka and Bri, who eventually returned, were equally happy to continue with friends and family support. At this time, I would like to remember others like Oliver, Aldwin, Tomaya, Jordan, and so many more who would have graduated with us today if it was not for their departure after Hurricane Maria. And Murray Delmore, a young man who was a victim of Maria who started first form with us. We all experienced storms of loss, failure, and heartache. Some of us didn't think we would ever overcome our storms, not as a school or as individuals. But I must say, thank God for His grace that has empowered each of us. Martin Luther King Jr. states that the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. I believe he stood tall in spite of insurmountable challenges and showed our true worth indeed. Today, despite our storms we have overcome, we are soaring. At this juncture, I would like to extend my most profound gratitude to my parents, Anthony and Carlin Richards. I hope one day that my children say I am the kind of father that my father has always been to me, a man who is present. In all of my 16 years, my father has never missed a first day of school. He has brought me to every class, no matter how far, and would sometimes even sleep in the parked vehicle outside, waiting till my class is over. My father is a man of action and few words. My mom, on the other hand, is a woman of both actions and many words. She is strict and not to be messed with, but her love is real and evident, and without a doubt, I know she is my greatest fan. Thank you for staying up with me no matter what time, and for editing and organizing my work even while I slept, and most importantly, for praying over me. As I worked on the speech, my sister Kara kept jokingly stressing to me to remember to say that I am her best friend. But what she doesn't realize is that she really is my best friend, my confidant, and a role model who I look to for advice anytime I need it. Thanks to my extended family, especially my grandmother and her husband, my aunts, my godfathers, my uncles, who have throughout the years been influential in my life. I know that to raise a young man in these times is not an easy task and requires both immediate and extended family to ensure young men realize their true potential. Thus, on behalf of the graduating class of 2019, I would like to say a huge thank you to all our parents, families, and friends that brought us to this point today. President Barack Obama states, and I quote, "We need to stay clear of this poverty of ambition, where people want to drive fancy cars, wear nice clothes, and live in nice apartments, but don't want to work hard to accomplish these things. Everyone should try to realize their full potential." My fellow graduates, this world needs men of character to take their place in a world so lacking in wholesome role models. Therefore, I believe each of us must guard against taking the easy road to a success that is not as a result of hard work and one which causes us to lose our values. According to Albert Einstein, let us learn from yesterday, live for today, and hope for tomorrow. I believe that this world will hear from us as we make our alma mater proud, with musicians like Jarrett, Che, Jaden, Kemuel, and all the ex-members of the band, footballers like Odell, Turam, Quinton, Jaheim, and yes, Brayo as well, basketballers like Jonathan, Trey, Jaime, and Koaf, cyclists like Koaf, and athletes like Bry, budding scientists, engineers, mathematicians, agriculturists, entrepreneurs, priests, and anything we decide to do. Have no fear, world. The young men of the SMA's graduating class of 2019 will take their rightful place in the shaping of this world. Yes, we will. I thank you.
Thank you, Kahil, our valedictorian. And now, to give back to us in the form of entertainment, we welcome our graduating class to sing a song entitled Win. Graduates.
As the graduates come to the altar to sing to us, we would like to acknowledge a few individuals, companies, and institutions who continue to support SMA. We say a special thanks to Premier Computing,
The Sign Man,
Corey Sav Inc.,
Mr. Akim Ismail,
Brighter Days,
The Signal Band,
Mr. Anthony Tula,
and Archipelago.
Thank you to these individuals, institutions, and companies. I would like to say a special thanks to all those whom we have mentioned earlier before as well.
And accompanying our graduates is Mr. Darren Green.
One, two, three, four, four.
Dark is the night, I can weather the storm. Never say die, I've been on this road before. I'll never quit, I'll never lay down. See, I promised myself that I'll never let me down. So I'll never give up, never give in, never let a ray of doubt sleep in. And if I fall, I'll never fail, I'll just get up and try again. Never lose hope, never lose faith. There's much too much at stake upon myself, I must depend. I'm not looking for place to show I'm gonna win. No stopping now, there's still a ways to go. Oh, some way, somehow, whatever it takes, I know I'll never quit. No, no, I'll never lay down. I'll make sure they remember my name. 100 years from now, I'll never give up, never give in, never let a ray of doubt slip in. And if I fall, I'll never fail. I'll just get up and try again. Never lose hope, never lose faith. There's much too much at stake. Upon myself I must depend. I'm not looking for place to show I'm gonna win. When it's all said and done, my once in a lifetime won't be back again. Now is the time to take a stand. Here is my chance. That's why I never give up, never give in, never let a ray of doubt slip in. And if I fall, I'll never fail. I'll just get up and try again. Never lose hope, never lose faith. There's much too much at stake. Upon myself I must depend. I'm not looking for place to show I'm gonna win. Never give up, never give in, never let a ray of doubt slip in. And if I fall, I'll never fail. I'll just get up and try again. Never lose hope, never lose faith. There's much too much at stake. Upon myself I must depend. I'm not looking for place to show I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win.
Put your hands together for our proud graduates.
As this evening's celebrations wind down, I would like to now call on the student of the year, Mr. Jarrett Jean-Jacques. Mr. Jean-Jacques will be coming to the podium to deliver the vote of thanks.
A pleasant good evening, Your Excellency Charles Savre, President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Mrs. Savre. Your Lordship, Most Reverend Bishop Gabriel Mazier, Bishop of Roseau, Senator Robert Tong, Minister for Tourism and Urban Renewal, representing the Honorable Prime Minister, Mrs. Chandler Hyacinth, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education and Human Resource, Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education and Human Resource, Mrs. Melina Fontaine, Mrs. Nazreen Teet, and officials from the Ministry of Education and Human Resource, members of the clergy and religious, Mr. Glenn Ford Royer, our featured speaker, Mrs. Sylvia John Baptist, the principal and staff of the St. Mary's Academy, other principals, members of the Catholic Schools Board and the PTA Executive, representatives of donor firms, individuals, and institutions, other invited guests, the media, parents, guardians, friends, well-wishers of St. Mary's Academy, and the graduating class of 2019. As Student of the Year, it is my great honor and privilege to present the vote of thanks on behalf of the graduating class of 2019. Let me first begin by giving thanks to the Almighty Father, who by his glory has made this ceremony a resounding success. A heartfelt thank you is extended to our distinguished guests for gracing us with your presence. I would also like to extend my sincere gratitude to our featured speaker, Mr. Glenford Roye, who traveled from across the seas and despite his busy schedule, found the time to grace us with words of wisdom. I am certain that we will all take heed to your advice as we transition into the next phase of our lives. To the parents, relatives, well-wishers, and close friends of the 2019 graduating class who have been present throughout this entire journey, I say thanks. You all have played key roles in our success, and we are thrilled that we could have made you proud. My heartfelt thanks go out to the faculty and staff of the St. Mary's Academy, to our principal, Mrs. John Baptist, Vice Principal, Brother James DePiro, and to all our teachers. Without your patience, guidance, and encouragement, none of us would be seated here today. Thank you for your dedication. We can never repay you enough. We say a special thanks to the graduation committee, especially Mrs. Elwin, Mrs. Tulo, and Mrs. Rabes. We did not forget our pianist, Darren Green. Thank you all for your patience, time, treasure, and talents. To Mr. Bert Paul and the 4-Hers, the business community, and the many benefactors who have contributed in one way or another to make this ceremony a success, we express our profound gratitude. And finally, I thank my friends, the graduating class of 2019. You are here because of your persistence and determination to succeed, and you have only just begun to reap the fruits of your labor. I thank you for making this ceremony a reality and a success, and I wish each of you the best as you continue on the journey of life. As I close, I will leave you with a quote by Melissa Harris Perry. Be willing to embrace wonder, to experience unexpected discovery, and to go in unknown directions. Never become so enamored of your own smarts that you stop signing up for life's hard classes. Once again, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Jared, for your closing remarks and your vote of thanks. Just before we continue to conclude, we'd like to say a special thanks to the team of ComC TV who are actually carrying this event live for us through ComC TV. We'd like to say a special thanks to Mr. George and his team for the facility of carrying this live, especially for those who were not able to physically be here to celebrate with us. So thank you very much, Mr. George and the team of ComC TV for that facility. Very good. Please stand as we join the graduating class as they sing the school song for the last time as students. St. Mary's alma mater, hail to thee, all hail. We raise our cries to glorify thy name where'er we be. To thee we owe allegiance, abroad will spread thy fame. Throughout the world we praise thee, proud to bear thy name. Loving mother, trusting patron, guide our school year by year. Ave, Ave, Mater Dei, sing we now in accents clear. St. Mary's alma mater, on high thy glory soar. St. Mary's men go forth again to praise thee evermore. Please remain standing and at attention as we conclude this celebration ceremony with the third stanza of the national anthem. Come ye forward, sons and daughters of this gem beyond compare. Strive for honor, sons and daughters, do the right, be firm, be fair. Toil with hearts and hands and voices, we must prosper, sound the call, in which everyone rejoices, all for each and each for all. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our celebration this evening. Please remain in your seats as we allow their excellencies and officials to first leave, followed by the teachers and then the graduating class. We thank you very much for celebrating with us.